realize entrepreneurial opportunities, enhance your entrepreneurial mindset, improve your strategic decision making, and build innovative business models. It's mixed level and offered by the University of Maryland. It takes approximately 8 hours to complete, only 8 hours to complete. And one of the top reviews on the site reads, "Thank you very much. I enjoyed it a lot. All the program was relevant to the current situation of the economy. I am really grateful for your courses. Now it's time for me to put what I learned into practice." In other words, go up there, start that business, and make some money. It's all about nti.org.bb. If you're thinking about getting into business, you have that entrepreneurial mindset, but you need a little more guidance, this is the course for you. Developing innovative ideas for new companies, the first step in entrepreneurship. Check it out, nti.org.bb. It's kind of ironic that I'm playing, well, not ironic, interesting, I should say, that I'm playing this beat, which has a song on it that Gabby knows very well, talking about not doing any work today. But we have a very hard-working gentleman in studio today. Our guest, Mr. Clyde Sobers. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon to you.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
All right. I'm cool. Just trying to recover from a very busy season, but it's all good.
Naturally.
Yeah. Let me tell you a little bit about Mr. Sobers. He is an aspiring entrepreneur, a justice of the peace, and a former insurance and finance executive as well. With 22 years in the industry, he has spent the most time in senior management positions in group insurance, finance, and general insurance. Sobers also has experience in credit union management, retail operations, and event management, as well as general management. His entrepreneurial experience includes the development of Albertiville Apartments and Bar, operated and owned by Sobers Management and Consulting Service, SMCS, his two businesses. Having participated in the first cohort of the 2023 Growing Together Small Business Training Program, facilitated through a partnership between the Coca-Cola Caribbean System, Barbados Bottling Company, and the National Transformation Initiative, Sobers aims to use what he's learned to fulfill his retirement goals. He's set on working with community organizations and people to bring developmental opportunities and promote eco and community tourism through his business as well. Yes, that was a lot to read, but that's a lot of years that you've been in the industry as well. 22 years.
That would age me too, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Don't worry, we won't go down that lane too deep. But wow, I'm sure you have a world of experience already. But it says here you are an aspiring entrepreneur.
Right, and I'm saying aspiring only because entrepreneurship would only have come on the radar when one had gone into retirement age.
Right.
Those 22 years and more would have been involved in actually working in those positions that you mentioned.
Yes.
So somewhere along the line, you get to the age of retirement, and therefore, because we all know that once you get to retirement age, your standard of living tends to drop.
Yeah.
You look for those opportunities where you can become engaged in continuing to keep at least a reasonable standard of living.
Right.
So making additional revenue.
It wasn't always a plan for you to go into entrepreneurship upon retirement?
It always was.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
okay.
It was when the day started to work.
Okay.
Way back then. But implementing it obviously would have meant waiting until such time as you have followed that course of employment. And once that happened, which is where I'm at now, on the brink of retirement.
How easy or how difficult has it been, the transition?
Not difficult because, I mean, as a hardworking person, bits of that entrepreneurial work was still being done. Not to the same magnitude as it's needed now to take it to another level, which I'm motivated by the course which I attended.
Yes. To
get to that higher level of operation. And more so, not so much about me alone, but for people around you. Because I come from that background of community involvement. And in that context, this project that I'm working with is intended more about the people, particularly those from my area, those who need an opportunity in order to give them a chance to grow and develop.
All right, tell us a little bit more about the project that you were a part of. When did it happen? What was it all about?
This is the NTI.
Yes.
That would have been a 6-week course. Conducted by NTI with a lot of influence from Adrian and Alison, not to recall. And I found it quite interesting. I attended every one of the sessions. And what I like about it is the fact that you get an opportunity to network with all those other players who were in that program. And for me, because of what I just told you about the question of community involvement, I'm actually keen for those people who were in that program for us to get together and take it to the next level.
Right.
Take the next level meaning not only mind opportunity, but also each one of the opportunities, how much more can we do with it by working together. And by doing that, be able to have some influence on resources.
Yeah.
Or resources by government, resources by private sector, whoever. And that's what I see. So coming out for that 6 weeks program and linking with those people gives me an opportunity to hopefully share some of that knowledge that you referenced with those folks.
Very interesting indeed, because some people might say, you know what, you put a lot of years into your career so far. It sounds like you did fairly well for yourself. Why do you have this urge to now come and work a little harder or work even more to try to help others?
Just me.
Just who you are?
That's just the way that I am. I like to tell people by saying to them, go look in the dictionary, or go look on Google and see what David means. And if you see what David means, you see that's exactly why I would want to do this. It's never about me alone. It's either family and or community family, or just in fact that you're able to interact with people who you recognize have the vision and have a plan. I always say, if you stand up by me too long, especially if you're a young person, you're going to find yourself having to talk to me about a plan for your life, etc.
Really?
So that is what it is. Seeing people grow and develop. And it has a lot to do with your brain. And mine was a long way to go. When I qualified back in 1992, and Life of Barbados was my employer at the time. And one of the things that they did at that time was to advocate those people and publish it who qualified. I qualified as an accountant. And the topic of my article was against the odds. So in that regard, I'm there to help those people who find that they need to get against the odds. In entrepreneurship, in their schooling, in their growth and development, whatever it is. I believe that if you lend a helping hand, the blessings will come back to you.
I agree too. Very much indeed. I was looking for a part of your bio. I've got my finger on it right here. Now, it seems like you are very much a community-minded person. You just hinted a little bit about your upbringing, your past.
Yes.
But can you tell us a little bit more about that and why you are the way you are?
I'll start with my name again, as I told you. If you look up what Clyde and David mean, David says blessed one, and Clyde says silent but heard from a distance. Right? And those two things, I never really recognized what they really meant until I was age 50.
Right.
So now you know.
50.
50.
Wow.
And that's when I looked up the name, the meaning of my name, etc. And it was the first time in my lifetime that I ever had a birthday party.
At 50 years
At
old?
50 years old. And that has everything to do with your brain, your circumstances, etc. But you never let it keep you down. And that's why I said, against the odds, the theme I will carry today. No matter how hard you have it, and especially if you do the right things, there's somebody there to lend a helping hand. And I found that my own experience was that the more you grow, the more that funnel takes a funnel shape. The more you go, the more it goes out like this. And in that context, that is why you see I'm so dedicated to it. Because I know that people only need an opportunity and a chance.
Most of the time, that is definitely
That's all it
the
is.
case. Yeah. Now, in times like these, the world has changed a lot. You're seeing more and more people not even making it to retirement age. They're trying to start their own little thing, everybody in their own little hustle. But a lot of the time they don't have that critical thinking, which is very important if you want to make it in business. So stuff like what the NTI is doing, what you are doing, is how important do you think it is right now?
It is, and that is why having connected with those other people in that cohort, that first cohort, Wednesday morning cohort, you recognize that there's some element of that is missing. The question is, how do you get to party and share it with others? And I'm hoping that with Adrian and Dr. Leacock's support and the NTI, that we could be kept together, create an opportunity for people to become comfortable with themselves and be able to share that knowledge. And like you said, to be critical and strategic. The three of us in this room, why should I and you and Adrian do the same thing? So we're competing against each other.
You do see that a lot, though.
Exactly. Yeah. So there are persons now who are, the minute you're going to set up a stall,
somebody's
stall
right next to you too.
And doing the same thing. There's nothing wrong with the stall next to you. It's what you want to do.
Mhm.
And therefore you should do something that's complementary to that person.
Mhm.
So that when the customers come, they come into both of you, or to all three of us, and not just to me, and then you and I are soon have loggerheads because
Right.
we are trying to keep our set of customers and
Yeah.
so on. So I don't know many ways to put that.
Mhm.
Anybody, I repeat, anybody who stands up next to me, that's the conversation. And therefore, let's see where you're going from there.
How willing do you find people usually are to take in the knowledge that you're trying to pass on though?
It's like climbing a tree.
Break that down to me.
Like climbing a mountain.
Mhm.
If you have 10 people come and stand up next to you, you're probably gonna win two.
Alright.
The other 8. You want to hope those other 2 can influence them and so on. But that's the best way you can respond to that.
Right.
If you have 10 people and you talk to them, you may wind up being successful with 12.
So small win is still a win.
Correct. That's what you gotta tell yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
And just keep pushing. Remember, log on nti.org.bb if you are in an entrepreneurial mindset. Maybe you're even in a job right now, you're thinking, you know what, this ain't for me. I got some ideas in my head. I think I know how to make some money and make a living and do something that I would actually enjoy doing. I think this is the course you need to check out, nti.org.bb. I'll tell you some more about it at the end. But today, remember, we were talking to Mr. Clyde Sobers. He's a truly a man with a wealth of knowledge. Well, he's an aspiring entrepreneur, but he's been around
Yes, like I said, I've been at it for a long while.
for a long time.
And it's interesting the point you made that you may be in a job
Mhm.
and you want to come out and do that.
Mhm.
You need to be sure. You
Why?
need to have that vision. You need to have that plan.
That
If
right
you're
there is a
gonna-
whole conversation.
right.
Yeah.
If you're going to give up that employment, somewhat certain,
Mhm.
then you have to know that what you're going to,
Yeah.
you're going to make it happen.
You have to be committed
Correct.
to that cause.
Yes.
How difficult do you think it is for a lot of people who might be thinking that right now, but they don't have that confidence that, you know what, I can make this happen? Is that a lack of knowledge or is it something deeper, you think?
It may be a little bit deeper in the sense that to go there and become an entrepreneur, you're going to need to have resources, whether it is financial resources or human resources, as the case may be, or a combination of both. So that's why I said to you that if you're going to make a decision to come out of a full-time employment job, you can't be wishing.
Right.
So you have to be sure that your plan allows for you to have a financial plan. You have a basic plan, one that is strategic, that tells you what's going to happen in year 1, year 2, year 3, all the way through. And in that context, you have to also make sure that you have the resource base to deliver
Right.
on whatever those plans are. All right, and that may mean doing the right level of networking, or while you were in employment, knowing that you're going this direction, saving towards it,
Right.
creating the necessary credibility, so that you may have to approach for credit.
I love how you slowed down on that word credibility,
Very
so we gotta come back to that.
That's correct. You have to have credibility and credibility.
Mhm.
You need both.
Alright,
And in that context, you could perhaps achieve your plan.
alright, let's talk about the credibility part. Oh, that is key, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you carry a bad reputation,
Mhm.
and we already have credit bureaus and so on existing.
I'm more
And if
popping up.
and if you're coming out into the business field, you can't do everything in cash.
Mhm.
So you need to have some credit access.
Right.
And to have credit access, you have to have some credibility.
Mhm.
Because as you may know, any financial institution now is asking you for your net worth statement,
Mhm.
what you own,
Mhm.
what you owe, and there has to be a relationship between those.
Mhm.
Now, with that said, what you owe, how are you managing that?
How do you pay your bills and all?
Correct.
Yeah.
And if you're not handling that with credibility,
Mhm.
then your credit ability is
Diminished.
shot.
It's gone.
Yes.
Well, that is key. That's something you have to pay attention from. You have to do that from young. You can't wait till you get 50. You only had your first party at 50.
You have the point. I had my first party at 50.
Yeah.
I was working hard.
all the while.
That's correct.
You have to.
So if you have that ambition, as you rightly said,
Mhm.
you have to be thinking that from early.
Mhm.
You have to be thinking of, when I get to X age, I want to be in business.
Mhm.
When I get to X age, I may want to have my first birthday party
Mhm.
because you couldn't afford it
Right.
otherwise.
Otherwise.
So it's the same basic concept. If it's about yourself, start early. If it's about going into business, start early.
And there's nothing wrong with having that vision for yourself and working towards it.
Correct.
You don't have to say today, listen, I don't work in, I'm gonna do my own thing when you don't have a plan.
That's the
is gonna
point.
lead to problems.
That's the point.
Yeah.
And this would have come out in the NTI course, up front and center, knowing the things you're gonna have to do all the components of that plan
Mhm.
you have to be comfortable with in order to make that plan work at the point in time when you start it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very important and insightful indeed. Listen, log on nta.org.bb, developing innovative ideas for new companies, the first step in entrepreneurship. Ideas. You were talking a bit before about how we see a lot of the same thing popping up all over Barbados.
That's right.
Where the innovative ideas? Do you think this course can help?
It certainly can,
Mhm.
because it gave you the tools with which you could explore those opportunities.
Mhm.
And more so in today's technological world, how we can use social media, etc., to help promote your process.
Right.
But like you both said, you can't be everybody doing the same thing.
Yeah.
The pool is going to be small,
Mhm.
and as a consequence, you're going to find that it's not going to prosper.
Everybody might just end up suffering, or one person might do very well, and everybody else might be suffering.
Correct.
So we need some new ideas, some innovative ideas. So this is why the NTI is here, and this is why Mr. Jones is on air with us today, and just giving us a little bit of his knowledge. We have a few minutes left on the inside with the compliments of the NTI. Remember, if you are an aspiring and active entrepreneur, you have great ideas, you want to turn those ideas into a company, you want to make some money with the challenging economic times that we are facing. This course is for you. It's called Developing Innovative Ideas for New Companies. The first step in entrepreneurship. Log on to nti.org.bb. It's right there. Click on it. Only 8 hours of your time. So even if you are at work in that boring job that you don't like and you want to get out of so you can become an entrepreneur, you can still be learning all now. 8 hours. You just break that down every time you get a little 15-minute break. You go on NTI and you know, pick up something.
I reinforce your ambition. You want it. You feel it. So if that's the case, the course is available to you to hone your skills. Now, one hopes that you have some basic foundation to build on, because again, if you go into the course and it's above you, that's going to discourage you as well. So you got to make sure that you have some basics,
right,
and or that you got some resource that can help you to walk the walk. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Big question. I was thinking about asking it from the beginning, but I didn't want to. But my wife always says, Scott, everybody can't be an entrepreneur. Everybody's not built to be an entrepreneur. What are your thoughts?
I think that is true. Even if you have the thought of being an entrepreneur, like I said, if you don't have a plan for how, first of all, you've got to make sure you know what it means. And if it is that you're engaging in business and so on, then effectively you have to know what it is you're going to be doing, how you're going to be doing it, who you're going to be doing it with, when you're going to be doing all the various steps in order to succeed. So it's not just a question of saying I want to be an entrepreneur or I feel like I could be an entrepreneur. And again, as we said earlier, it cannot be just a question of copying somebody else. So you have to have that planning taking place every time.
I was just making a quick check to see if Mr. Sluggy Dan has jumped in the Zoom, and I believe he's there. You can see him there, right?
I am not seeing it.
Oh. Well, I just let him in. Let me see if you can hear him. Sluggy, can you hear me? I don't think he's quite in as yet. Let's try that one more time. All right, sorry for somebody's there again.
Muted, yeah.
Sluggy, can you hear me?
Got it.
All right. All right, we're here. We were talking for while waiting on you to jump in the chat. Of course, you know, today the focus is on entrepreneurship and innovative ideas and that kind of stuff. We have a few minutes left, so I don't know if you have any questions you want to drop on our very kind guest, Mr. Jones here. Sobers here, sorry.
I don't know.
Do you think there's any policies that we need to implement urgently?
Can you start from the top, Sluggy? Sorry.
It's loud.
Is it better now? Sluggy, can you repeat your question from the top?
if you were to ask me that question another time, I would have said to you that what persons will find that they need are resources. I use that very broad term, resources. It could be financial resources, it could be human resources to help them to deliver on their objectives, etc. And so, well, the knowledge should come from the various programs of study that exist already in the country. And as you walk those walks and you determine that you want to become involved in business, then you have to first identify what it is you want to do. You want to assess the extent to which there is a market for what it is you want to do. And then do you have the capacity to be able to deliver on it? And that deliverance is always going to hinge on the question of, do you have the resources to take it all the way? And I'm sure that government has various programs that it has. You have YES, Youth Enterprise Scheme. You have those programs that are there. The banks may even say to you that they have facilities for you, but when you consider what you have to go through in order to qualify for the support, it usually is quite hard. So the real issue is having the various policymakers create an environment where the people who are employed and paid for by taxes make themselves available to assist young people who become engaged as entrepreneurs. And I'm sure that you will hear that that does exist. But then the reality that you have is, why aren't they being truly successful? And if you have 10 of them and you only have 5 achieving, and then the rest falling by the wayside, you know why it's. So to my mind, to answer your question, the policy decision people have to be in a position where they truly make sure that these activities are successful. If you have persons who are come out and assess them, not as a risk or anything like that, but assess how they're getting on. And maybe NTI, through its own activities, will create that opportunity for the persons who are being trained in the various cohorts to have that support, have someone come in and assess them and see how they're doing along the way. And then helping to carve the path for them to access additional resources. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean parents, and I'm assuming here that we mean the parents and so on of the children, and all of us are collective. Right, within the community. Yeah, right. So what I'm saying is that we would have to be practicing those persons in those things, which means that your community has to become involved in activities, let's say on a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon of that nature, and be able to have the children from the community become involved. But I think you know what the challenge is right now. We have children having children, so they're not being guided accordingly. You have the blocks that have a lot of people on it. Nobody's daring to say, today we're not going to see everybody looking screw and smoking, but rather we're going to be involved in having a tent set up selling the same lemonade that we talked about, or creating some other interesting thing that is needed, and the community doing this. That is what it takes. But how many of us are committed enough to do this? We are struggling ourselves, and we look after our own, and that is what it is. And you referenced the question of the white folk and even the Indians and whoever. Their culture has been different to ours. Maybe because we had that long, hard road to walk. Well, it has to be. It has to be correct. So that's right. But what it means is that each one of us that you talked about just now, or the three of us in this room and you who's on here, has to have that mindset. The four of us talk and says, okay, you know what? Let's start that conversation going in each of our communities. Okay? So it's all right, because if you want the children to have that mindset, you have to be able to show them that you are doing this kind of thing. And then this whole question of NTI having these different courses, some of which are free, you need to expose the children to that too. Okay? Right. And I'm saying that in that context, then you have to have it then filtering in the parents, having it filtered into the school system, maybe through the PTAs and so on, and having activities that will see the children being exposed to it more so than they are now. Because some people have more exposure, and you know what? After school they have this, after school they have that. Some children have to head home in order to go brain the cows and that sort of stuff. Now that has its role too. But again, who is nurturing that in particular child if they're showing it? It's coming back to the community having a lot more to do to impact our children. I'm about to ask you, not crossing you, I'm about to ask you, because you mentioned that there is a plan, and there are seven stops, and I'm assuming that you're in St. Lucie or St. Lucie, St. Peter and others, all across St. Lucie? Yeah, I've heard that. But you have my name and number, I'm pretty sure you can get it from NTI, and I'm saying that is exactly the point that we need, because in a lot of the rural parishes, you don't have the resources. And if it is that there's a plan that is set out, and as you said, it can be demonstrated to the people in the community that they stand to benefit from this, directly or indirectly, then I'm saying that you will find that those programs can be delivered much easier. So I'd expect to hear from you a bit more on the question of the plan for St. Peter, and particularly. Please do. Yes. Okay. Yeah. And one other question I have for it, does it extend to the question of people who are differently able? Mhm. 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 I can assure that we do because we have in the northeastern quadrant of Barbados, we have programs going there. There's the Sobers Internal Trust, there's the Hospital Sports and Community Club, there's even Shipmates Barbados. And what we tend to do is to focus on lending support to those persons who are differently able or who are outstanding, even in that northeastern quadrant of St. Peter. That even extends to St. Lucie as well. That's why I'm particularly interested in what you have for St. Lucie and St. Peter, to be able to see how that could be brought to the locales where we operate from, and to bring some difference. And we do have differently able people. We have one young man who is suffering from cerebral palsy, and he is upstanding. And he has a little small business going. His name is DJ, we call him, which is Davion Jackson. And he is such an ambitious young man, although he suffered with cerebral palsy. And we are looking for additional support for him to give him that greater flexibility, to be able to move around. So Dario Smith, I'll try to remember the name, but I know you can source mine, and if we can be connected, I'd be interested in hearing about those programs as well.
I can loan you a couple more.
Very well. From the community perspective, and keeping with the concept of entrepreneurship, and I haven't discussed earlier that entrepreneurship is not about everybody standing up and doing the same thing wherever. I would expect the community, and hearing these initiatives, all those people with their different talents to come to any session, talk about what they would like to have done, given their skills and their talents, so that they can get guidance in pointing and planning, etc., to make them happen. From the point of view of the government or even private sector, it is a truly lend necessary support to these efforts of these people. They're not the kinds that may have a lot of resources, but if resources can be brought to bear, special purpose resources, then you could see more happening. It certainly can take away from that interest that seems to exist in people so naturally progressing towards the block culture and so on. but then you can't blame them sometimes because there's nothing else for them to do. So if you can first garner the various interests and activities that the community wants to become involved with, and then you can lend direct support to that, then you may be able to see some greater success. And with, as I said, with all these courses that are coming on stream, with people who may have a desire to become involved with the youth and to help them out, then I'm saying that you may see a different community spirit evolving and less of the quote unquote block culture.
Just again. Mhm.
Well, I think you said it. I think you said it all. And the mere fact that there's the work that NTI is doing, which in my time would not have existed. So you had to you had to slug it through and hope for the best and kept focused. And thank God you had very strong parents, particularly your mothers, and maybe even more so than their fathers, who caused children to focus on developing themselves. And in that context, a number of us from, let's call it from the country areas, who have come through. The big issue that you have is getting people to come and give back. Because invariably you have many people moving away from the society. And and they go on to live in the heights and the terraces.
Mhm.
I believe that there's a lot of value to start in a height and a terrace rather than going into one, because it's a lot less cheaper to do. Okay? So,
He's now starting a whole different convo at the end of the show, but we gotta wrap soon, Sluggy. Cause you know, for the text, like you said, wait, so you wanna talk for 10 more minutes, you know?
it's better to start a height and a terrace than to go into one.
Mhm.
So, it's more economical.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I thank you for having me. I stand committed to lend support to any initiatives that you have to undertake. Thank you very much. Thanks to everyone.
All right, Sluggy. Yes, boss. Big up yourself. Blessings, Sluggy.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sobers, for passing through today as well.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Thank
Yeah,
you.
man.
Thanks to NTI.
All right.
Bye-bye.
They had a midweek mindset for today. Keep it locked right here on the fan.
To equip every pigeon with the knowledge and skills. To the citizens
I don't think the rig is working, yeah, because
You're not getting audio?
not at all. And it's saying low on the, is it this cable or is it the actual rig?
I generally don't know, we haven't been able to change that cable to chat.
This simple headphone to RCA cable? I can't
I
like it.
asked for how many,
You have a jack on those headphones, do I let you? Alright, let me run
Yeah.
this one.